Good evening. Welcome you all for today's session, Ideal Characteristics of Op-Amp. So, the ideal characteristics of Op-Amp. Before that, we should know what is an ideal Op-Amp. An ideal Op-Amp is an amplifier with infinite input impedance, high open loop gain, zero output impedance, infinite bandwidth and noise. So the positive and negative inputs which allow circuits that used to check to achieve a wide range of functions. This is ideal op-amp. So this is the difference between op-amp and ideal op-amp. So now we are going to discuss about the ideal characteristics of op-amp. So these are all the ideal characteristics of op-amp. First, infinite open loop voltage gain, infinite input impedance, zero output impedance, zero noise contribution and zero DC output offset and infinite bandwidth. So these are all the ideal characteristics of op-amp. So first let us discuss about each one. First one, the ideal characteristics of op-amp that has perfect conditions to the function as an op-amp with 100% efficiency. So first, open loop voltage gain. So the open loop gain AVOL, it is represented as AVOL is the gain of the op-amp without positive or negative feedback. The ideal op-amp is infinitive in physical values, ranges from 20,000 to 200 in real devices. So the infinite input impedance is the ratio of input voltage to input current. It can be represented as Z is equal to voltage by current, that is our input impedance. So the Z in is infinite, the input current is IN, that is equal to 0. So the high grade op-amps can have input impedance in the T ohm range. Some low grade op-amps on the other hand can have milliamps input currents. So the next one is zero output impedance. So the next one is zero output impedance. The ideal op-amp acts as a perfect internal voltage source with no internal resistance. Its internal resistance is in series with the load, reducing the output voltage available to the load. The op-amp, ideal op-amp have output impedance in the 100 to 20 ohm range with zero noise contribution. In the ideal op-amp, zero noise voltage is produced. Internally, this is any noise of the output must have been at the input as well. Practical op-amp are affected by several noise sources such as resistive and semiconductor noise. These effects can have considerable effects in low signal level applications. So the ideal characteristics, next characteristic is zero DC output offset. The output offset is the output voltage of the amplifier when both inputs are grounded in the ideal op-amp, which has zero output offset, and in the real op-amp have some amount of offset voltage. So infinite bandwidth, next one is infinite bandwidth. The ideal op-amp will amplify all the signals in DC to the highest AC frequencies. So this is the difference between an ideal op-amp and an op-amp. So in real op-amp, the bandwidth is limited. Bandwidth is limited. In real op-amp, the bandwidth is limited by the gain. So GB is gain bandwidth product, which is equal to the frequency where the amplifier gain becomes unity. In the 741 family have very limited bandwidth of up to a few kilohertz of bandwidth. So these are all the ideal characteristics of op-amp which we discussed. That is infinite input impedance, zero DC offset, output offset, zero DC. Once again let me repeat the characteristics of op-amp. What are all the characteristics of op-amp? First we discussed DC output offset, right? So these are all the output characteristics like zero DC output offset, then zero output impedance, infinite input impedance, open loop gain, and infinite open loop voltage gain. So these are all the ideal characteristics of op amp. Thank you.